Welcome back viewers, ladies, gentlemen, non-binaries and anyone with ears or other sound detection organs. Hope you enjoy. We are continuing with Going Native, written by Uncle Sealing. Going Native, Chapter 33. Oh goddess damn it, Stace. Iing's yell was startling enough that Sammy ended up swerving the little bus alarmingly for just a moment as the quartet made their way down the winding mountain roads toward Durango, Colorado. What happened? Marin squeezed in closer to her husband, trying to sneak a glimpse of his omnipod. I just got a message from Elora. Apparently Stace shot someone. How? Samuel sounded confused more than surprised. We have his guns, and considering his condition I don't think he's going to be going down to a corner and buying an illegal firearm. Ian continued to skim his pad. Some bitch named Celia showed up, waved a badge around, tried to interrogate Elora about the station incident, and then threatened to shoot Stace to make her talk. Apparently she didn't realize Stace was awake, because he stole her pistol, set it to stun, and shot her in the spine. Think it's the same Celia you mentioned before? Sammy barely managed to pull the bus to the side of the road before succumbing to laughter, Marin joining in uproariously. For Samuel's part, he actually seemed to be crying. Ian broke free of Marin's grasp and went over to join the pale man. Are you okay, Sam? Yeah. I think I will be. He accepted a hug from Ian and seemed to relax a little into the Shilvati's arms. Mind filling me in? The second time we met Celia, she got violent. Towards me specifically. Marin snuck up behind her, pulled that idiot's pistol right out of her belt, and threatened to ventilate Celia's skull. Since then, I think we've all sort of regretted that Marin didn't pull the trigger. I really should have. Marin sulked. And now your Stace seems to have beaten us to it. Sammy grinned and started getting the bus moving again. I just wish he hadn't used stun. Iing stumbled over and found himself pressed against Samuel, having apparently accidentally changed seats. You all seem pretty casual about the idea of killing someone. It's, well, a little concerning. Is she really that bad? As soon as he asked the question, Ian could feel Samuel shudder next to him, and he suddenly understood exactly how bad it was. He thought back to when he had first met Marin, how she had saved him the same way. Ian wrapped his arms around Samuel in as tight a hug as he could manage while he heard Sammy speaking from the front of the little bus. Let's put it this way. The next time I stop this bus I'm going to order Stace the biggest damn gift basket I can find. Stace let out a sigh and laid back on the huge bed. He hadn't felt this out of his element since, well, ever. Elora was sitting next to him in the room's chair, playing with her omnipod. It was like some kind of super smartphone. She said once he was more settled she would get him one. Right now, though, Stace was starting to feel useless again. Even worse than the cabin. Here he didn't have any advice to give, any insights. He was just sort of laying around like a lump. Elora, I need help. She immediately perked up. What do you need? I need to shit. He knew the word but it just wouldn't come out. I need to get new words. Learn to read. You will, Stace. Just be patient. Her black and gold eyes shimmered as she leaned forward and took his hand. It will just take time. No, I need to be doing. Not just being here. Talking was so goddamn difficult. He could see the words in his head, form the sentences, but they just sort of stuck there. It was like his vocabulary was stuck in molasses. I need books. Things to study. I need to learn to write with my left. Left goddamn it. Left. With my this hand. He held up his one good arm. Elora nodded, but was frowning. I will get you those things as soon as I get my accounts unlocked. When they declared me dead, all of my savings were transferred to my parents. All I have is my last paycheck, which I sort of already spent on clothes and an Omnipod. Ah. Well, here was a problem Stace might be able to handle. He patted the bed next to him. Close the door and sit with me. We will make a call. A few minutes later, mostly Ella trying to find the right code to call, and a tanned, wrinkled face with thinning white hair that Stace recognized immediately appeared on her pad. It had been over a decade since they had seen each other, but Stace would have known the man anywhere. Eustace Grant, as I live and breathe. I didn't think you were still alive. Milton, you look good. Ha. Stace hadn't really considered it, but English seemed to flow a lot better than Shill did in his current state. And you look like shit. What the hell happened to you out there? And don't forget to introduce me to your friend. Stace nodded. Ella, this is Milton Quest. Here's he felt everything lock up for a moment. Find a way around it. He helps with legal stuff. Now Milton and Ella were both looking at him with concern. It's okay. I can think fine, but sometimes the words just won't come out. The doctor said it should be temporary. Ella interjected. It's from being out in the cold too long. I was doing fine. Then she had to show up and ruin it. Stace elbowed Ella jokingly and made sure to grin to take the sting out of it, but after seeing the look on her face he decided to make a point to apologize for the comment. She must feel guilty about how he ended up, even if it wasn't her fault. Well, even if you look like you're in rough shape you seem a lot better. More together. Milton nodded. I'm glad you're back. Thank you. It's good to be back. So, now that pleasantries are over, what can I do you for? Milton's lined face curved into a soft smile. We need some cash. For day-to-day things. I have no clothes or a phone. Stace stopped to think. Do I have any left? That got a laugh out of the attorney. More than most. You've been drawing your salary from the trust, which I've been holding on to for you, and many of your investments have done very well. I told you I didn't want a pay. I didn't do any of the work. And I told you that as the manager of the trust you could shut your stupid face and let me do my job. Milton nodded to Ella. See? You need to take a firm hand with Stace. Believe me, I know. She grinned in return. All right, Stace, do you have an ID card yet? Hold it up to the camera and I can get you all set up. Stace pulled his ID card from under his gown, unhooked it from the lanyard, and held it up to the Omnipod. The look on Milton's face was not ideal. Milt. What's wrong? Jesus, man, how badly were you hurt? What do you mean? Have you read your ID? Actually read it. Stace frowned. What had he missed? I can't read Shill. Can barely speak it. Ella reached over and took the card, then flipped it to look at it. Her face seemed to drain of color until it was a bluish gray. What is this? Why is my picture on Stace's ID? Milton let out a dry cough. It's an identification card for a person under a medical stewardship. Essentially, it means that Stace has been deemed by the government to be unable to care for himself physically and mentally. He is remanded to the care of Ella Helium, who is his legal guardian and protector. Stace isn't allowed to own property, handle money, or make his own medical or legal decisions. It all has to go through you. The lawyer looked at Ella sternly. They didn't tell you this? You should have had to fill out forms, attend hearings. That interior agent. Ella gulped, her voice strangely flat to Stace's ears. There was an interior agent who came to investigate after Stace shot someone. She asked me if I was willing to take care of Stace and I said yes. Stace shot someone. Milton's eyes were wide. Self-protection. Crooked cop. I will get you all the details. How do we fix this? Ella waved the card at the camera. This is crazy. Milton consulted something on his desk, probably some sort of reference. Stace doubted he was well versed in this sort of thing. After a period of at least one standard year, about 20 months our time, you can apply for a new hearing. Until then, there's nothing we can really do about it. Even then, it will probably be declined. The code on the card indicates that Stace is prone to serious self-harm. For cases like that, it usually takes 3 standard years before they will authorize a hearing, and then usually just to reduce restrictions. Stace sighed and rubbed his face with his hand. I think we should work on this later. When I am out of the hospital we can fix it. For now, can you get me some money for XX shit? For buying stuff? Technically, no, I can't give you money, Stace. You're not allowed to have money. Then give Ella the money. Ella raised her hands. Whoa. I'm just a Marine. I don't know that I can handle all of this. Milton let out a quiet sigh. Miss Helium, I will do what I can to sort this out. In the meantime, I'm afraid you're going to have to handle it. I will draw some funds from Stace's account and transfer them to you so that you can take care of his day-to-day. It's his money, just don't let him trick you into blowing it on dumb crap. Thank you, Milt. No problem, Stace. It was good to see you. Next time hopefully it will be under slightly happier circumstances. The screen went out and Stace took the ID card back, staring at the strange runes for a moment before clipping it back on his lanyard. A few moments later, Ella's omnipod made a chime and she looked at it. Apparently, whatever the notice was startled her enough that she managed to flip the phone straight onto Stace's lap. What is it? That's... Wow. She reached for the phone as if it was going to burn her. Milton. Yeah. Stace, are you rich? That made him laugh. No. Daniel was rich. I just did not spend much. What did he give you? Ella gulped. 20,000 credits. You could buy a new car with this. Don't do that. Buy used. Better value. I'm not going to buy a car. Then buy me books so I can learn. And a phone. And treat yourself to something. I still can't believe you spent an hour talking to that hairstylist and didn't get it cut. You can't just get your hair cut, you have to consult. Plan. It has to be done right. I don't know, I usually just have Sam do it. Which is why you look so scruffy. I'm not scruffy, just casual. Marin locked eyes with Sammy through the rear-view mirror and they both grinned as the bus bounced along the road back up to the observatory. She had been worried about how Ian would take the addition of Samuel, another male and possible rival, but the pair seemed to be getting on like a house on fire, bickering good-naturedly. It had started back at the salon, when Ian managed to convince Samuel that he needed his hands and feet worked on while Ian had his consultation. Now the pair had matching nail polish. Then they stopped at the grocer and spent another half of an hour talking with the butcher. Ian had apparently written down a bunch of recipes while he was living in the woods and Samuel had to help him translate them from wild game to actual meat you could buy at the store. Which had then turned into a tit-measuring contest between Ian, Samuel, and the butcher comparing their best recipes. Now they were snuggled up together on one of the bus's bench seats, trading barbs like old friends. It was refreshing after everything that had gone on the last few days to see something as normal as two boys gossiping. The truth was that Marin wasn't happy. She didn't want to leave the military, and now that she had Ieng, Marion could just abandon Samuel and Sammy, move back to Base 16, and see what she could do about cancelling Celia's transfer request. Even if she was transferred, she had her husband. Of course, that wouldn't work. She felt a real connection with the two humans and wasn't about to give that up. The offer from House Chelsea would let her keep her strange little family at the cost of the only career she had ever been interested in. A ping on her Omnipod drew Marion's attention, and she looked at it to see new orders. Report tomorrow afternoon to base for debriefing and new assignment. She would have to see if she could get a flight in the morning. She had returned her rental weeks ago, and even then it was at least a 20-hour drive. Maybe there would be some way she could keep away from Celia and not have to give everything up. Nurse Jeoe managed to catch Ella on her way back into the human's room from whatever errand she was running. He had spent the whole evening poring over a few children's books like they were mystic tomes and was even trying to draw proper Shilvati runes, though he was making a mess of it. Still, seeing that determined look on his face was nice. She just hoped none of it was too hard for him. Miss Helium, I need to talk to you about Eustace's treatment. The Marine stopped and turned, concern plain in her face. What is it? The surgeon managed to get some procedures moved around and make some space to take him in the morning. He wants to see about getting some mobility and sensation back in Eustace's right arm. That sounds great. He also wanted to replace Eustace's damaged eye with a synthetic. Without one, he will most likely never be able to do more than discern light and dark with that eye. Ella was nodding along. So far, so good. The issue is that the only one we have that will fit him won't match. We don't exactly keep a large stock of human eye replacements around. Did you ask Stace? He seemed so caught up in his little books, I didn't want to bother him. Besides, no need to go over his head with things. What exactly do you think is wrong with him? I mean, he's a bit slow and I'm sure he will make progress eventually, but someone needs to take care of him, make those sorts of decisions. That's you, right? For some reason, the Marine seemed mad. Genuinely angry. Jeoe, Stace is one of the single smartest and most capable individuals I have ever met. He pulled me out of a burning shuttle wreck and managed to patch together my perforated guts using nothing but what he could learn from some books and some basic first aid supplies. He used to teach biology for a living. This wasn't making sense. Eustace was a simple, gentle man. Now Ella was saying he was some sort of brilliant. Was he just pretending? So what happened to him? Why is he like that? Like he doesn't understand what's going on around him? He doesn't speak Shil. What? How could he not speak at least some Shil? He doesn't speak Shil. Didn't even know we had come to this planet until a few months ago. What little conversation he can manage now is what I managed to teach him in a few weeks while he kept me and a male civilian alive in a frozen hell. But he can't, he's so nice. And he was abandoned out in the woods. He was living out in the middle of nowhere in a very nice cabin he built with his own 2 hands, reading books, gardening, and fishing for the last decade. He chose to do that for himself. He wasn't around for the Imperium's arrival. He didn't experience it, didn't have any friends or family die. He has no reason to be upset at us. Oh goddess! She and the other nurses had totally misread this situation. Everything she told that interior investigator was wrong. At least there was. No, she needed to ask. What about him hurting himself? You had to amputate because he didn't tell you he was hurt. He got frostbite pulling the 2 of us out of a freezing river. Then when he realized it was infected and would kill him, Stace decided to go out and hunt and push himself so that when he died we would still have enough food to make it through the winter. He didn't tell us because he knew we would try to stop him from stockpiling enough supplies to keep the rest of us alive. And you figured it out. Yeah, we figured it out when the infection got so bad he couldn't stay conscious. We almost killed him trying to save his life. This was not what Joe was expecting. It completely changed the way she looked at the human. Didn't it? Apparently, Elora saw some of the conflict in her face and decided to have mercy. Listen, Stace is the same person you've always thought he was. He's kind and kind of goofy and tries really hard. He's also incredibly intelligent and I'm sure he could use some company. Think of how lost and confused you would be in his situation. Just talk to him. You'll see what I mean. Elora then leaned into the room and said something to Stace in one of those weird human languages. He looked up from his book, replied, and the two chatted for a couple minutes. He says go ahead with the eye replacement, though he said he'll miss the eye patch. It makes him look dashing. At least Joey could smile about that. End of chapter. If you enjoyed, like, subscribe, click the bell so you don't miss any episode and do all the other YouTube stuff, visit and support the author, and I'll see you next time. If you didn't enjoy, comment on what I can do better. And as usual, have a wonderful day.